Hello, guys. Welcome here. It's an earlier taped edition of Sunday Morning Tinkle. We're still premiering, of course, at 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. on Sunday if you're watching the premiere on YouTube, or you just got the notification to watch or listen on Spotify or the other audio platforms. Brian and Jason here. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. And, man, just phenomenal week, I guess. Both of us getting ready to go coach soon, as Jason's got the new coaching polo that we're all going to be wearing when we get to the sidelines.
Well, either that or the polos. Doesn't matter. Probably
yeah,
just
that
the shirt, the quarter zips. Honestly, they're nice. They're nice and dry fit material. I mean,
yeah,
I like it. It feels honestly nice and comfy.
And I can't
Why
wait to
not?
get mine. My brother, my brother has
He'll be
mine.
getting
Was
it.
supposed to
No
bring it to
worry.
practice the night we're taping, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot it at home." I'm like, "Bitch, of course you forgot it at home."
Bitch, better have my. No,
Bitch, better have my quarter zip. Don't act like you
Quarter
forgot.
zip.
Okay, I better stop before we get copyrighted. But coming up, boy, we got to talk about one of the coaching firings that just happened. A coach on the hot seat. We're going to start out talking about, of course, but we also want to talk about Drew Brees and kind of a health update that he gave. And we have a double worst take of the week and a tinkle on this coming up your way. But I want to begin. Oh, fuck. I thought we were going to be talking about turning the corner. And it would appear that Justin Herbert is the only one turning the corner right now on the Chargers season, of course. Another big loss this week to the Packers. This is the fifth game that they have lost. Out of the 6 games they've lost, 5 of them have been by 1 score or less. So, of course, Herbert, another phenomenal game, kept him right in it. The defense, once again, all this money they spent on defense, and it falls short. So,
Right.
before, obviously, my stance, and I think a lot of the league's stance this week has been Brandon Staley's got to get fired.
Yeah.
Now, my stance, of course, has been fire Brandon Staley since January. I've been saying it. You spent all this money on this defense. You spent quite a bit to retain Herbert, make him a top 5 paid quarterback in the league. You spent all this money on, or you wasted all these draft picks on defensive players, offensive line, wide receivers, and frankly, should have. Basically, you spent all this time trying to chase the Chiefs, all this time and money to try to chase the Chiefs, and you've fallen short. So I want to take a moment and explain to you why Brandon Staley should be fired. And for the first time, I think, in the history of the show, I've actually got notes of stats right here in front of me, actual stats. So I'm going to read them out. So again, 5 losses by 1 score or less. You take away half of those again, 2.5. So you round it up to 3. So take away 3 of those 5 games that you lost by 1 score. You're 7-3. Okay, 7-3 right now has you tied up top the AFC East or AFC West with the Chiefs. However, the Chiefs get the tiebreaker because, or would have gotten the tiebreaker because the head-to-head win. Okay,
Right.
You forecast ahead. They always drop 1, win 1 against Denver, so I don't see any change there. You add, now again, just forecasting ahead, this isn't my picks for the week. I'd say the Ravens you taken out, the Chiefs you're going to take out because the Chiefs always win on the road in the division. So okay, go through the rest of the season. 11-6, you're probably a 5th seed or a 6th seed based on what happens with the Browns. Okay, so I got that record part out of the way. Now we're into the stats. The Chargers are 31st in yards per game, 32nd in passing yards per game. They allow the most passing yards in the league this year. 12th in rushing yards per game. So they've been good about stopping the run. At least decent. They've been mid. 23rd in points allowed. 15th in red zone defense. Now that's a good strength that they have. And then same thing on third down. They are 8th in third down defense. Going to the offensive side, 11th overall, 9th passing, 18th rushing, 8th scoring defense, 2nd red zone offense, and 9th in third downs. So overall, you've got an average of about low top 5, early top, late top 10 offense. Again, something that should put you well into the playoffs. Right now. Okay? Now let's go to Herbert here. Herbert is 15th in completion percentage, 8th in passing yards. Keep in mind, that's one spot behind Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is 7th right now in passing yards. Okay?
Yeah, for somebody that's also supposed to be an MVP candidate, isn't looking like an MVP candidate, just saying.
No, by the way, before I finish with the stats, the Chiefs have not scored in the second half of a game since October.
That's sad.
Okay? So I just wanted to add that little piece in. But let's keep going with the Herbert stats. 9th in average passing yards per game. Keep in mind, that is just below Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, the supposed top 2 in the league, or 2 of the top 3 in the league. 3rd in passing touchdowns. He's leading over... Only Tua and Josh Allen are above him, so he's above Patrick Mahomes in passing touchdowns. And he has the 6th least interceptions among NFL starting quarterbacks. Of course, I said last week, Keenan Allen is top 5 in every receiving category there is right now. And Brandon Staley's record for all this money spent, for all these stats I just rattled out, over the last 3 years, his record 23-21. Okay? 23-21. That is unacceptable, seeing the level of talent you have on this roster, seeing the level of talent you have at quarterback, and especially seeing the talent level you have at wide receiver. And oh, by the way, Brandon Staley, despite being a former quarterback, is a defensive mind. So you're telling me you got a below top 25 defense when your specialty is defense? That right there is fireable.
So I look at it this way. I mean, I get it that, defense in a lot of sports typically mean winning championships. Having a great defense, and you want to get turnovers, you want to get the ball for your offense as much as possible. But again, if your offense is not producing points like they should be, I mean, I get it,
But here's the thing, Herbert is producing points. It showed in that Packers game. What he did in that Packers game should have been the final dagger. What he did against the Lions should have been the final dagger right there. And the defense, all they had to do was do their job and get a stop. They allow a score. Game over.
I mean, it does kind of suck because didn't Joey Bosa also get hurt recently too?
He's always hurt. So there's no surprise there, unfortunately. But what I will say, flip the script, because Sean McDermott, we both have one thing in common, that both of our coaches are defensive minds. Imagine if the Bills had the 28th ranked defense in the league under Sean McDermott, a defensive-minded head coach, but somehow had a top 10 offense. Okay, would you not be saying that, man, if Josh Allen is the one, now forget that he's led the league in interceptions the last 4 or 5 years running. Forget that. And that includes the Dable era, by the way. But forget all that. let's just say Josh Allen does what Josh Allen's supposed to do, gets down the field, gets scores. Now the defense just has to hold up. And they don't. And these, like I said, this is why the Chargers won't make the playoffs. Frankly, if this happened for the Bills, this is why they won't. I still don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Right.
But all I'm saying is, it's embarrassing. The biggest takeaway here, it's embarrassing that you're a defensive-minded coach and your defense isn't even top 20, let alone top 15. And oh, by the way, you spent all that money on the defense and all those draft picks on fixing up the defense and traded for Khalil Mack. Okay? It's embarrassing that Justin Herbert is carrying this team on many weeks, like last week and the week before. He carried this team, and the defense couldn't do its job. Okay? This is where, and I hate to say it, and I love my quarterback because he's down to earth, he's a nice guy, but is he too nice is the question I have, because you never see him shoot his mouth off.
True.
Okay. This is a time where I think Justin Herbert needs to slam his foot on the ground and actually, light up the defense and go up to him and say, I need you to get me a fucking stop.
Yeah.
Okay. He needs to go back to the sideline, rip his helmet off, and say, you all better get me a fucking stop. Because I just did this. Now it's your turn to do the job. Okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Herbert's a captain, too. So he needs to step up as a captain and talk to his defense and be like, look, I can, do as much as I can on offense, but if you guys are not helping me, stop and getting turnovers on defense and whatnot, then I can only do so much on offense.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does suck because, the main priority was defense for the Chargers and trying to get it as much as possible and spend a lot of money. But if they're not, stopping opposing offenses, especially in the passing game, it just, and unfortunately, it's a passing league. And if you can't stop it, and you said you're 28th against the pass?
32nd in passing yards per game. That's last in the league.
Last in the league. And then 28th in passing, right?
Yeah. And I believe I'll leave on this because Mike Greenberg or Greeny made a good point on Get Up this week. He had said, or him and Rex Ryan, they said, for a team of all this depth, there is no reason they should be side by side with the Jets right now.
Yeah.
There's no reason they should be side by side with teams like that who don't have depth. And I'll also say this to add to the reason Staley should get fired before I move on to the next takeaway. Staley, of course, got heated in the media. I will remain the defensive play caller. Stop asking me that question. And he also said, when someone asked him, what would you say to the fans? I'm not here to talk to the fans. I'm here to talk to my team. First off, that's what press conferences are for, dumbass. Okay, they're there to talk to the fans. Okay? That's your obligation. That is why you are at these press conferences. These press conferences are not your escape route to addressing your team post-game, post-practice, whatever have you. Okay? So stop acting like you run the show. Stop acting like your head coaching record is 30-1. Okay?
Right.
Sit down and shut up and do your job while you still have one, because you should be in Division III college football or you should be coaching a high school football team, because clearly you don't have what it takes. You do not have any sort of leadership skill to coach at the National Football League, let alone coordinate on one side of the ball or be a special positions coach. So, I digress from that. But on to the next point. Of course, this one's interesting. The NHL and the NHLPA are looking to restart this World Cup of Hockey in 2025. I believe they did it in 2016. So the plan would be there will be 4 nations represented this year, and hopefully eventually we'll expand beyond that. The U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland would all participate. I gotta say, baseball has its classic during spring training.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be opposed to this at all. Okay, at first when I read this, I'm like, World Cup of Hockey, I'm like, great. An in-season tournament for hockey that's going to go overseas. How great of an idea does that sound? But no. Look, I mean, baseball doesn't. Soccer, interrupts their season. The international leagues of soccer, I believe, stopped to observe FIFA's World Cup. Why not hockey?
Yeah, I mean, why not, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So, my only issue is why does it have to be during the season, though? Because I think it should be, if you do it during preseason, like September, October, yeah, you're going to lose ratings to the NFL. Or if you do it like July, August, like FIBA does, because FIBA does their big tournament in July and August. Like, I feel like you got to go one of those routes. You can't do it mid-season, halt play, and then extend the season because you can't play games.
Well, unfortunately, I feel like at least a lot of leagues are kind of going that route anyway, so...
Yeah. And I feel like going off of that, and again, I'm concerned about the ratings, I would say. We know late February, once football's done, you got the Daytona 500. That's going to draw probably 5-6 million viewers. You've got F1 starting back up. Now that's only 1 mil. You got the XFL, not going to draw more than 1 million probably. You got March Madness lead-up games, in-conference basketball games, basically. They're going to take a brunt of the viewership. Even the NBA is going to take a brunt of the viewership.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, in a way it's good but bad. And then add in, now, I saw an ad on CBS the other day that when the now that the writer and actors strikes are over, it would appear that Super Bowl week will be premiere week now for a lot of new TV shows and returning TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like now again, it's not going to be until 2025, but I feel like February is tough because there's just a lot to contend with.
2024 more than 2025, but...
Yeah. But what I'm saying is I feel like it'd just be a tough sell when it comes to February.
Yeah, probably, because, you have the Super Bowl as well, too.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying it'd probably be past the Super Bowl, and they obviously wouldn't play during it.
Well,
So,
yeah, I would hope not.
Every league kind of comes to a halt during the Super Bowl. So, but hopefully it works out. Hopefully it'll grow beyond the 4 teams, and with that, you can take over, Jason. So,
all right. Honestly, I kind of figured maybe Buffalo was gonna get, a victory here, and I thought it was gonna be a lot closer than what it was, but it was actually nice to watch a Bills game and be able to lead from start to finish. That has not happened much at all this season. Yeah, they had that 3 games, 3 games in a row where they looked dominant. and then it just all crashed down. But the problem is, Buffalo had Ken Dorsey last year and went 13-4. I don't know what the hell the problem is this year. I get it; they have a lot of tougher games and tougher situations, but you have the majority of the same players, and they go 5-5 with Ken Dorsey this year. That's crazy. But honestly, I have seen a lot of improvement all around. It started with special teams with the hit and the fumble, get the ball back. But unfortunately, the Jets only give two field goals in a row. But even then, I mean, the defense got to Zach Wilson 6 times. They picked him off 2 times. They had 2 fumble recoveries, so the defense definitely came big. And I think a big contributor to it, honestly, is a guy that we only picked up for a 1-year deal. This man should be like on a 4 or 5-year contract, but only on a 1-year deal. That man is not Von Miller. It sucks, because I would love to see Von Miller get his first sack. And I know it's going to be coming, but I don't know exactly what game. No, that man is his partner in crime. The one that helped him win a Super Bowl with on the Rams, Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd had 2.5 sacks alone in that game. Damn near half the sacks alone. This man deserves to, get a pay raise after this year. He has come in and been a damn leader for the Buffalo Bills, and I'm grateful for it. But you know what? You want to know who else has also been a hell of a contributor ever since the trade deadline? Rasul Douglas. Why the hell is he not the starting cornerback? Because he went out there, he had 2 interceptions, a fumble recovery. I mean, this man has been great with Green Bay. He comes to Buffalo, gets his opportunity to shine, and basically shut down Garrett Wilson the whole entire game. I think Garrett Wilson had like 3 receptions when Rasul Douglas was covering him. Why is he not our starting cornerback? That's why I want to understand. I get it. It's Christian Benford and it's Dane Jackson, but it's got to be Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas has to start at corner the rest of the year for Buffalo to possibly have a chance. Because I think he's the only corner that can go up against a strong receiver and shut him down. Does it suck that Tre'Davious White is not out there to be able to be the second cornerback? Yes, it does. But I think if we keep Rasul Douglas, and I think if we have Tre'Davious White healthy heading into next year, I think the sky's the limit for the secondary. But the problem is like, can Tre'Davious White stay healthy enough to play a whole entire year? Can Matt Milano stay injury-free? There's a lot of ifs. I will say that a lot of injuries have really messed up the defense and the way that the team has played, and that's probably a big contributor of why they've lost so many games. But the problem is the offense has been very lackluster. But I will say that in this game, Josh Allen looked like he was kind of back to form. Yes, he did throw that pick. I get it. He leads the league in interceptions, but let me tell you something. He also leads the league in touchdowns, and also total touchdowns, and also has a NFL record for the most total touchdowns in the first 6 seasons, passing, you want to know who? Patrick Mahomes and Dan Marino. And 2, the offense did look like it was back in form. I saw a lot of everybody getting involved. I hate to say it, Ken Dorsey. Maybe you should take some notes from your quarterback coach, because this man got Khalil Shakir involved, had James Cook involved. He had Kincaid. Yeah, Diggs didn't really get involved, and the problem is that Diggs just. I know we've talked about it before. He hasn't really been to 6-10 catches for 100 yards since I don't know, since early in the year. But I don't. I mean, as long as you can get other guys, I will say this now: Gabe Davis. If you're getting outplayed by a second-year player, you probably should get cut from the team. Because Khalil Shakir seems like more like a second receiver. Dalton Kincaid seems like more like a second receiver. Gabe Davis doesn't get involved much at all. Diggs, I mean, he's kind of struggling, but I mean, he's still a contributor. Gabe Davis, just get rid of him. I hate to say it. This man came from having like a great performance in the playoffs a couple years back against the Chiefs. You know, he had that 200-yard 4-touchdown game against the Chiefs. Now he's barely even getting 100 yards a game. He's not a route runner. If anything, he just catches some long bomb passes. He's never really been a great route runner. If anything, the best route runner on the team is Diggs. But you know, when he's getting heavily defense, there's not really much you can do. But from what I see, Khalil Shakir definitely has a big wide receiver 2 asterisk on him because I think he plays a lot better as a wide receiver 2 or a slot receiver. If anything, what I would probably do differently if I was offensive coordinator is throw Gabe Davis more in the slot and see if Shakir would play better outside, because Davis, I don't think he's a great outside runner as a receiver too. I hate to say it.
See, now slow your roll is all I'm going to say about that game being 32-6. Just started out. Slow the roll a little bit because it's the Jets you played. Clearly they're having issues at quarterback. And it shows because they just benched Zach Wilson starting next week. The other thing is it's kind of the honeymoon phase, right? Because it's a new offensive coordinator. It's like, oh, man, you know. I mean, they didn't change much in 1 week, clearly. I mean, how much can you change in 3 practices in a week? So,
I mean, I feel like there was a lot more screens. There was a lot more
there's like
getting guys open. A lot more designed runs, getting other guys kind of open. Because if it was Ken Dorsey's kind of offense, I hate to say it, it would be a lot of, okay, we're going to run up the middle on first down. I didn't really see a whole lot of that. If you think about it, because a lot of times it would be first down, you're going to run. Then you're going to pass and then interception.
See,
I didn't really see that with this offense. I feel like Joe Brady really used a lot of the strength of the offense. I get it's the Jets. They've been struggling. They've been playing like absolute crap. But the problem is that this could have easily turned worse for Buffalo. This could have been like Josh Allen has a couple interceptions. The defense looks good, because, okay, for instance, look at week 1. Look at week what? We just came off of week
11.
10, week 11, right? Look at week 1. Look at week 11. Week 1, Josh Allen threw 4 picks? Or 3 picks and had a fumble in that game. Had 4 turnovers. Look how well that that team played, off of those turnovers. That could have easily been the same case in week 11 too. Josh Allen throws, multiple different picks. The only reason Josh Allen threw a pick in itself was off of a Hail Mary, which I don't know what the hell the idea was on that. I think you should just take the kneel, head into halftime. You get the ball back in second half anyway, so I don't know what the hell is trying to get the point of getting the
score, man. But what I gotta say though is, again, not much changed. I mean, to me, not just in terms of play calling, because I feel like you can't change much or in terms of playbook. Play calling you can change in 1 week. Okay, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
Well, the thing is that it's going to still be technically Ken Dorsey's offense.
It still is, but
the only difference is that Joe Brady can be like, I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this out.
Joe Brady could be digging deep into the playbook into things that Dorsey said, man, I don't think that's going to work.
See, that's why I think that with doing that, you saw like plays that are never run under Dorsey, and I don't get it. Dorsey, you understand, You're coming off of a 13-4 season. You know what works, what won you games. Why are you not calling those plays that work? That's what I don't understand. That's why I feel like firing Ken Dorsey kind of made sense, because if you're not putting your team in position as a play caller, then you deserve to get fired. And you can say the same thing with Brandon Staley. If you're not going to be a great play caller, say like if you're calling defensive plays and you're not putting your defense in position to play, yeah, you deserve to get fired. Just saying.
Absolutely, and we're going to talk about another coach in a second about that. But
right, I will say this now. I'll get to my last point.
Yeah.
Yeah, McDermott calling the defense isn't exactly the greatest idea, but this team has been like top 5 in the 6 or 7 seasons that he's been under coach. I mean, he's got to be doing something right as a head coach with his defense, like always being in top 5 position every single year. I get it that calling the defense isn't exactly the greatest idea.
Let's go back to my point earlier about Brandon Staley. Okay, again, that is Sean McDermott's specialty, is defense. He was defensive coordinator under Ron Rivera before this whole hiring here. Okay, my point is Brandon Staley is not the defensive coordinator of the LA Chargers. Okay, Sean McDermott is. He's filling 2 roles. You can call the plays on defense, but why are you filling 2 roles when you could hire someone to do that? And every championship team that's out there has done it. Andy Reid doesn't need Matt Nagy, but he still has him so he can focus on both sides of the ball. He still calls the offense.
Unfortunately, I think it's more so a situation like I don't know. It's tough because, I mean, Leslie Frazier took the year off. I don't know if he's going to be coming back. The plan is that he's supposed to be coming back in 2024. He could be back with the Bills. He could be on a different squad. It was more so, I guess he was kind of filling in as an interim for the time being until Leslie Frazier either comes back or they find somebody else. And I wouldn't say he's doing exactly a terrible job.
He's not. But
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying, this is how Kyle Shanahan started out in San Fran. Then he was on the hot seat, and he hired an offensive coordinator. And now look at where they are. They're frankly in a position, I don't know if they're going to beat the Eagles in the NFC, but they're in that position where they're going to be able to compete with them. This is where I feel like Buffalo is going to drag. I mean, this year I think it's a lost cause. I still believe it because I don't think the Jets game proved anything in terms of them making the playoffs. The only thing it did was keep them in the race because they won the game. They've got games coming up that are going to be true tests. They got AFC games that are going to be decision makers if they get in the tiebreaker situation. So, again, I feel like the Jets was a good start, but I still don't see them making playoffs. I'm sorry. I'm going to just throw that out there. I think they dug their own grave the last few weeks.
Honestly, if we can see a lot more of the offensive play calling, like what they did, and I get it, it's the Jets, and not exactly the greatest, and defense really didn't show up. But I think if we see a lot more of those offensive design plays where, you just keep it simple, don't keep it, make it complex. I think that's what was the difference between, a couple weeks ago with those losses to this week is it seemed like it was a lot more simple and Josh Allen could understand a lot more of the offense, the simplicity. I think Ken Dorsey just made it way too complicated for their own good. And that's what turned into a lot of turnovers for Josh Allen too. I get it, he did throw that pick, but 3 touchdowns over 1 pick, I guess I'll take it because a lot of times you can have 3 touchdowns and 2 picks or 3 turnovers.
1 pick's fine. 1 pick's fine. It happens.
I'll take 1 pick and 3 touchdowns any day of the week.
It's when he throws 2, 3, then you question, okay, what the fuck is going on here?
I feel like I honestly, a lot of those games I was watching, was I was looking at it as is he just doing this on purpose at this point? But I'm going to get on to my next takeaway. I'm going to kind of make this like short, simple, kind of to the point. Dan Orlovsky, we talked about him before. We already talked about him with last week with Mac Jones. But this one, he kind of has a point on. He says that the Texans could possibly win a Super Bowl with C.J. Stroud. Well, I don't think it'll be this year, but the Texans do go in line to make playoffs this year, if not win the division. They're about like a game away from possibly leading the AFC South. He's been having an amazing rookie season. I mean, this is also a man that threw over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns and came back and won that game.
This dude's playing like he's in year 4, but he's only in year 1. Let me just say that. But also, about the Texans being in the picture, are you surprised? Because I'm surprised.
I am very much surprised. But, I mean, DeMeco Ryans, for being a former Texan himself, I mean, he just knows how to play.
Coach of the year.
He just knows the aspects of being a Texan player. So, I mean, I guess he just
Coach of the year.
I think he deserves that at this point. Either him or Dan Campbell, I think, are the two candidates for Coach of the Year, to be honest with you.
100%.
I think Campbell more than DeMeco Ryans, only because of the turnaround he's had with that team the last few years.
But I feel like the Detroit surge this year was expected. I feel like that was expected. We didn't expect the Texans. I think we all predicted the Texans in the basement. I'll have to go back and double check, but I think there were a lot of people that didn't see this.
Yeah, I didn't see it either, especially since we all know how Ohio State quarterbacks do in the NFL. I mean, for prime example, look at Jalen Hurts. Or not Jalen Hurts. I mean,
hey, don't disrespect the MVP.
Justin Fields is a really crappy Ohio State quarterback. But C.J. Stroud is the one exception where, like, man, maybe he was actually great coached and everything like that. It's hard to believe that he was one of the many quarterback-ready quarterbacks this year. I think him and Anthony Richardson were probably the 2 NFL-ready quarterbacks out of this draft. Nothing against Bryce Young, but he hasn't done enough to show that he's NFL ready at all. And the same thing could be said about Alabama quarterbacks too.
But their options were limited. That's the problem.
We've seen some rookies that have had some success this year. But I think the 2 that really stand out were definitely Anthony Richardson before his injury and C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud, 100% is going to have to. I think he's in line to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. It's got to be. It's got to be him, honestly.
I just don't think we can write off Bryce Young yet. We've seen guys have slow rookie years and then they surge the next year. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, for God's sakes, look at his rookie year. His rookie year was god awful.
You know what would be interesting?
Urban Meyer. So I'm saying don't write him off. But, I will say...
as much as I would like to give Frank Wright a lot of credit, it would be cool, and one of these days, if he ended up back in freaking Buffalo as their OC, that would be a Buffalo Bills thing. I hate to say it, I know that I can't see that happening. But that would so be a Buffalo Bills thing. Oh, hey, let's bring back the guy that, had the biggest comeback in the playoffs.
I think Carolina's got to stick it out with their coach. I think, that's going to be the route they go. But as far as C.J. Stroud, I did not expect this. I did not expect him to play as good as he's playing. And frankly, the man should be the only rookie in the MVP discussion. Is the bold take right there. So,
I was going to say, if there's any other guy on that team that probably could make a strong case of being Offensive Rookie of the Year too, is Tank Dell. That dude is a beast of a receiver, and then he's only a rookie too. Yeah. Like, I have him on my fantasy team, and ever since I picked him up, he's been producing. CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, Houston fans, I think you're going to have a great combo for years to come.
100%.
I think it's going to be. I mean, before Deshaun Watson did all of his things, I think you're going to have another Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins.
Well. Let's not give them that hope, because I feel like they got better coaching now than they did with those two, because I don't feel like Bill O'Brien was that guy.
And stuff like that. So I think that they can be very successful for years to come. I think you're going to definitely see. I mean, don't get me wrong. Robert Woods has been a phenomenal addition to that team too. And then Singletary, he's up and down. I mean, he's been getting some touchdowns too. I do kind of miss Singletary, but I'm grateful that he's having success with Houston.
Yeah. But all right, with that, we should probably go to the worst take of the week, and we got a double worst take of the week this week because it happened on the same show and I think the same episode. We start with Richard Sherman, first time buying into the worst take of the week. Richard Sherman says Jalen Hurts is not in the MVP race. So let's start with that. And then, of course, Skip Bayless says the Cowboys are better than the Eagles. So first off, what's with the Eagles hate? That's number one. Well, we know it's Skip. He doesn't need to answer that. But Sherman, what? Like, I get. So Sherman's pointing the stats out. But to me, the stats matter in the MVP race. Is the fact that Jalen Hurts, the way he plays the game, the way he plays so well, and he's so versatile that if they put any other quarterback in, they wouldn't be 9-1. Is that not enough? Because they didn't have Hurts at quarterback. They're a 6-5, 7-5 team through this point.
I mean, I guess it depends. I think Nick Sirianni has a great offensive system that I think a lot of maybe quarterbacks can have success in. But Hurts is definitely, the greatest quarterback to, for Philadelphia right now. I mean, he's definitely able to go out there and help win games. I mean, and they have one play in their arsenal on offense that just is unstoppable, that no defense can stop at this point.
See,
and until defenses can actually stop the tush push, I think that they can keep on doing it at this point.
Well, teams want it banned, and I'm laughing because I'm like, it shouldn't be banned. Figure out a better way to stop it than just loading that, area up. It's not that hard. I mean, you just got to figure it out. Takes time.
The only thing I can think of is stuffed online.
Yep. I mean, have bigger guys. What do you want me to say? That's
what I'm saying. Beef up the line.
It's not like it's an injury risk.
Yeah, right.
So,
but with Jalen Hurts, I definitely think he's got to be in the MVP race. I mean, the team's 9-1, looking hot. I mean, they just beat the defending champions.
First time since these rematches happened in the 90s that this has ever happened, that the losing team beats the winning team from that previous Super Bowl. As far as Skip goes, though, I mean, at least Richard Sherman made a little bit more of a sound argument than Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless's excuse was, well, they should have beaten the Cardinals. They were the better team. They should have beaten the Eagles. They were better than the Eagles in that game. Like, shoulda, coulda, woulda, dude. Okay? Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
That could be true.
Okay.
But the problem is, did they win those games? No, they did not.
No. And the fact you lost to the Cardinals.
Your team lost. Get the hell over it, Skip. You should probably just get canceled anyway. I hate to say it.
Oh, man, they had a long week on that show.
But fortunately, I know. But fortunately, they're too damn stubborn to fire a guy like him. So,
but
unfortunately, we sit here and have to deal with his crap week in, week out.
Man,
so
they had a fun week. They were talking about the hip tackle this week too, and Sherman basically told him, "I played the game. Don't talk to me like that." So it appears there's trouble in paradise. But congratulations to the two of them on being the worst take of the weeks. I also want to add Nick Sirianni, man. This coach is built for Philadelphia, and he's the kind of coach I aspire to have on my team. Not a coach I aspire to be, but a coach I wish I had on my team. Because he walks past the Chiefs fans on the way to the locker room, and he shouts, "I'm done hearing your shit, Chiefs fans. See ya!" Like, what coach in the National Football League would get away with that?
Who knows?
So, just love it. Just love it. Fantastic is all I can say. This is the kind of energy we need, though, from the players. And we're getting it from a head coach. So, even more amazing. But, with that, is Marty hanging close by?
Yeah, he is.
All right, because now, so Marty's going to join real quick because we got our favorite part of the show, or his favorite part of the show. Matt Canada has become the first Steelers coach to be fired mid-season in over 80 years. Marty, we didn't think it would happen. It's happened. What are we thinking?
I certainly did. I mean, I felt it coming, but I didn't think it would be this late in the season, and especially when we're coming up against a team like the Chiefs. Because, like, you know, yeah, they haven't really, like, been as hot as maybe years prior, and especially with everything with, you know, Mahomes not really showcasing a lot of his strengths and everything. But we still need progression. We still need something out of the offense. And I'm very confident and very optimistic that this is step one of restructuring, rebuilding our offense, because what we saw on Sunday with Kenny Pickett does not give him nor the fans a lot of confidence.
There's a lot of talk about him regressing from year one to year two. So I think that move needed to be made because you're not firing Mike Tomlin. That's just never going to happen. The dude should have lifetime job security. But what I just told Jason about firing Ken Dorsey, again, Rome's not built in a week, right? So, or Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So I feel like the expectation is not going to be that, well, now they fired him, now they're going to beat Kansas City. I think that's an unrealistic expectation because I feel like now, how much can you change in that time? You can't. The only thing you can do is dig deep in the playbook and say, well, we've barely run this, so why don't we give this a try and see what happens?
Yeah. I mean, I'm also under the impression that, like, if Kenny Pickett is regressing, or if he's, like, you know, going through the motions of, like, trying to figure out what he can do to get the ball down the field on top of who we have working with him, like, I feel that the best way for him to really kind of take a back seat is to, like, you know, kind of just take a game or two out. Take a game or two out, let Mason Rudolph or Mitchell Trubisky out there and, you know, kind of show him how it's done. So, you know, because just to kind of let him gain that level of confidence back of, like, okay, I can do this. Like, I just need to kind of take a step back, assess the situation, accept that Matt Canada is no longer here, so now I have to learn under somebody completely different and just kind of go from there. Because while I am holding out hope that Kenny will be good for, like, the next year or two, he still has a lot of progress that he needs to make on that Steelers offense. And especially, it's not just Kenny Pickett. It's definitely a team effort. Like, the offensive line needs to come together, create a hole for running backs, and wide receivers and tight ends definitely need to get themselves open so that Kenny can actually throw it past the sticks instead of just, like, a quick screen pass.
Yeah, I don't think the running backs have been the issue, but I was going to say, as far as Jason goes, or bringing in Jason, obviously, to this, going off what you said about Kenny Pickett getting benched, it's a great idea in theory. At our level of, coaching 5th and 6th grade, fantastic idea. Pull him off for a couple minutes, figure it out. With the quarterback in the National Football League, I feel like once you commit to a young quarterback, you can't pull them out because the confidence level is not there. Like, because once you pull them...
If I want to go ahead and step in, it's kind of like a situation with like Zach Wilson and with the Jets.
Yes, that's where I was going with
100%. Because clearly you could tell that he's had some ups, he's had some downs, and now you have him as your third string quarterback. How is that supposed to help him out with his progression when he's behind?
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, though. He's had 2 years uncontested as the starting quarterback. Okay, that's the difference. He's had 2 to 3 years uncontested at starting QB. Kenny Pickett's only had 1, and he was contested. But once you put in a rookie quarterback and tell him you're the starter, where you put in a second-year quarterback who never played in his rookie year and say you're the starter, I don't feel like you can walk that back at that point. Then it's, now we got to try to help them out the best we can. And if they still don't figure it out, then year 4 or year 5, if you pick up the option, then it's like, now we got to make a change. Because now it's not us, it's him.
To be truthfully honest with you, from what I've seen out of Zach Wilson and what I've seen out of Kenny Pickett, they are not franchise quarterbacks that can lead an offense at all. I mean, Kenny Pickett,
right now.
Kenny Pickett, I mean, maybe, this is what, his second year in the league? If he can show maybe progression, because, I mean, for instance, look at Josh Allen. The year 1, year 2 kind of felt a little iffy, and then year 3 kind of started really going upwards. If we can start seeing that from a guy like Zach Wilson, a guy like Kenny Pickett, then maybe you can go with him and start seeing what he can do in year 4 and possibly pick up his 5th year option. But the problem is, if he starts to keep on regressing, I hate to say it, you can't pick up his 5th year option. You let him walk after year 4. You can test the waters in free agency, and you got to bring in another quarterback. So, I mean, I don't think that the idea of switching quarterbacks would be a bad thing. I mean, look at the Jets. I mean, they kind of had no choice with the whole Zach Wilson thing because he hasn't been all that great, I mean, as of late. So, Tim Boyle, I don't think he's all that much better. Personally, if I'm the Jets, I would go with a guy like Trevor Siemian, who's got more starting experience than Tim Boyle. I hate to say it, and I know you laugh at that, but you know it's true. I mean, he started for the Saints and started for, I think, the Vikings or so. So he's got starting experience. I would probably go with Trevor Siemian more than Tim Boyle. He started
with Denver. Look at where Denver was.
Well, the problem is Tim Boyle's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for how many freaking years?
Well, also...
1. And 2, as far as Kenny Pickett, I don't know.
I will say this about Kenny also. Yeah. Last year, they tested the waters with him anyways because he didn't start the season as the starter. They initially were going to test the waters with Mitchell Trubisky, but then we saw how that went, and wasn't really progressing to the level that maybe the Steelers wanted. So they were like, okay, let's bring in Kenny because we know that he was doing really well in Pittsburgh, in the University of Pittsburgh. So maybe now that he's here, like he knows the Pittsburgh, but it's like just because he knows the Pittsburgh, like, way of.
I
Like,
will say this now. I do hate that with the NFL, that if they see a quarterback struggling, of course they automatically think, oh, well, it's got to be the offensive coordinator, right? He's the one that's, regressing a lot of these players. And then they end up getting scapegoated when in reality, I feel like a lot of it can be on the quarterbacks. If they're struggling, you got to talk to them, pull them aside, and be like...
But this case is going to be a question of, is it both? Because we knew Matt Canada wasn't good. Okay, the question's going to be, is this a case of both? Okay, that's the difference. Okay,
okay.
And I guess my final point in all of this, because we're close on time, is we didn't write off Mac Jones after 2 bad seasons. Okay,
right.
We didn't write him off yet because of that. We wrote him off this year because there's been no progression.
Yeah.
Okay, we didn't write off.
Okay. 3 different offensive coordinators, and
2
Jones
technically, because the other one was so unidentifiable that it was, we don't include last year in this. And then going to Tua Tagovailoa, I think we wrote him off too soon because year 2 we're like, he's not throwing deep passes, he doesn't have an arm. He's just not good. I think we wrote him off then too, Tua Tagovailoa. Look at what Tua's doing. Tua's top 5 in a lot of good stats this year. And again, easy teams, make that decision yourself. But, I mean, look at what happened last year when he was concussed. That team was going nowhere without him. Okay.
Right.
Sure.
So you can argue that they played easy teams and they only beat easy teams, but is the backup quarterback, whoever it was last year, is that guy really giving him a chance to win games? No. In those easy games? No.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson and Mike White. Or no,
it wasn't Mike White last year.
It was Teddy Bridgewater and Skylar Thompson. But it had to be Skylar Thompson because Tua and Teddy Bridgewater were both hurt, so they had no choice. They had to go after Thompson, who was the rookie quarterback playing in a playoff game.
And to your point, also with that is like, I'm not entirely writing out Kenny, but I'm not, like, for what I'm seeing this season, I'm not entirely confident, and it like, it's not even just my personal bias as a Steelers fan. Like, I really am looking more towards, like, if he were to potentially go to another team, like, if another team were to pick him up, I don't know that they would want him with what they've currently been seeing this season. But it's again, to your point, also, it could fall on both Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. I think those are the big questions, obviously, is who's it going to fall on? And of course, again, year 3, year 4, I think are more the telling years to begin with. So I want to leave it at that. And I think he just walked up and left it.
Yeah, he did.
All right. Well, I was going to ask him if he wanted to stick around and make picks too, but hey, we'll roll on. Thanks to Marty. Tune in to No Final Bell on Wednesday. He'll be on that with Jason. And with that, let's talk Drew Brees. So Drew Brees, his 0-5 injury, not exactly, clear that, or not. It's now having an impact on his quality of life. So Drew Brees has said he can no longer throw with his right hand. He can only throw left-handed, which is the only reason that he retired from the National Football League a few years ago. Oh, man. I mean, he defied the odds coming back because everybody thought his career was over when he came back. So,
kind of seems like a Peyton Manning type situation, almost. Because remember when Peyton Manning had an injury in 2011?
Yeah, but Manning doesn't have a neck brace out of it. I mean, he's been retired just as long. He's been retired way longer than Drew Brees. He doesn't have a neck brace. He's not saying I can't turn my neck to the right or to the left. He's not saying
Drew Brees have a neck brace that he's wearing?
No, I'm saying he's not wearing a neck brace. He's not saying I can't turn my neck one direction or something.
Oh yeah, true.
So it's unfortunate, you know. But again, he kind of went out on top. I mean, they made the playoffs. It's not like they went, 2-14 that year and bombed.
True.
So, but that's unfortunate.
In 2009 too. So I mean, yeah, it is unfortunate with Drew Brees, and it sucks that he had to retire off of it. But you would think that, like, with all the medicine and the doctors nowadays, that they would somehow be able to correct it so he doesn't have to have lingering effects. Or you would think that he would have had some kind of surgery like that, where I mean, it can relieve a lot of tension, but who knows? I mean, I would assume that he's probably taking some kind of medicine to have to deal with it after all this time. But
I mean,
the only thing I can
take
think
the
of
pain. I mean, the quality of life is.
He may have a lot of nerve damage. That's why he probably can't throw with his right hand, because he can't, like, all the nerve damage.
Yeah.
He probably can't, So it makes me wonder, if that's the case, does he also write left-handed too? That's what I want to know. I mean,
I don't know, honestly.
It's Drew Brees. I mean, he was an analyst for a little bit there too before
1 year. Before now, he's with Purdue doing something with their athletic staff there.
Yeah,
but I don't know. It's unfortunate either way. But should we get to the picks here?
Yeah, we could get to picks.
We have a shorter list today because of all the Thanksgiving and Black Friday games happening. So Saints and Falcons. Falcons favored by a point.
I don't know. Something tells me that it might be the Falcons that get the victory here.
I'm going to lean toward the Falcons at home. I think that's going to happen. Steelers and Bengals, Pittsburgh favored by 1.5.
See, now, if this was Burrow, I would definitely go Bengals, but I have to go Steelers here. I know we just talked about Pickett and the Steelers and everything, but I just think that somehow that defense is going to bail them out.
I have to agree, unfortunately. It's going to be a defensive... I think it's going to be one of those low-scoring, boring games, so I'm going to go Steelers. Panthers and Titans. Titans favored by 3.5.
Titans.
Yeah, Titans. Colts, Bucks. Colts favored by 2.5.
You mean, yeah. Did you say Bucks are favored 2.5? I thought
No, Colts favored 2.5.
Okay, never mind. I'm gonna. I don't know. This is a tough one, honestly, because it could go either way. I feel like, but I might just go with the Buccaneers on the road, just because I'm looking at the Colts' home record. Not exactly a great one.
And everything that's come out about Jim Irsay, the dude's being a walking distraction, I gotta go with the Bucks too. I'm not even gonna discuss what's going on with Jim Irsay. This is just a mess, and we don't want to get sued, so we'll stay out of it. Patriots Giants, once a Super Bowl matchup, now a toilet bowl matchup. New England favored by 3.5.
Hey, don't count out Tommy DeVito. I'm going to say the Giants here.
I'm going to go Giants, too. I think Tommy DeVito, man, I had him written off, too, and he's, man, the man who's living in his mom's basement, he's just freaking balling.
Yeah, I think that's kind of crazy. A rookie quarterback that's still living at home with his parents. Doesn't live that far away from the Giant Stadium at all. Played a pretty decent game, honestly. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. I mean, if his parents are willing to deal with it, shit, why not?
Hey, look, he's just showing everybody that, frankly, it's not just a post-college issue for people that aren't professional athletes. So just throwing that out there.
Or maybe he's just trying to save money, and
Hey, I'm sure we'll get an answer soon enough. But here we go. This could be for the division, probably the game of the week, besides the Bills and Eagles, obviously. Jags and Texans, and Jags are favored by 2.
I don't know if I like that. And it's not even. I mean, it's going to be I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But just something tells me that C.J. Stroud is going to get that ball last, and it's going to have a nice game-winning drive. I'm going to go Houston at home.
C.J. Stroud, man. I got to go Texans as well. Browns and Broncos, Denver favored by 1.5.
I don't know if I like that they're the favorite, though. I get it. It's Dorian Thompson-Robinson that's going to be starting against Broncos, and I get it, the Broncos have been on a winning streak. But that defense, I just think they're going to help DRT to get the victory. I'm going to say the Browns on the road.
I like the Browns. I mean, Ford's playing well. Kareem Hunt's playing well. Just that offense is clicking, so I got to go with the Browns. Rams, Cardinals. Rams favored by 1.5.
Well, we're going to be having to see a lot of Puka because I don't think Cooper Kupp is going to be playing in this game. I think he had like a knee injury in that last game.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Cardinals.
I'm going to say Rams. I still think they'll find a way. I just don't know if I buy the Cardinals just yet in this, even with Kyler Murray back. But Chiefs, Raiders. Chiefs favored by 8.5. I mean,
holy Lord. I think this might be a lot more competitive than what I'm thinking. I mean, look what the Raiders did with Miami. Miami didn't win that. I mean, yeah, they did win that game, but it's not like it was exactly easy for them to win. So I think this might be a lot closer, but I'm going to have to go with Chiefs. Mahomes is going to be pissed after losing that game to Philadelphia. I think he's going to go out there and just onslaught the Raiders, honestly, in a way, but could be wrong.
I agree, but I will say that I just, like, I just don't think it's going to be a blowout because the Chiefs just haven't been playing good offensively without Eric Bieniemy. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but it's going to be close. Eagles and Bills. Eagles favored by 3.5.
I hate to say it. As much as I want to give my team a lot of credit, I'm saying we're going to go 6-6 heading to the bye week. Eagles win. They're going to go 10-1. I think they're going to win the Super Bowl, to be honest with you.
Yeah, an early pick, but I got to go Eagles too. I mean, I think the Bills' offense can make it interesting, but the Eagles' defense and the Eagles' offense itself, they're just too.
I just think this is going to possibly be a very defensive, low-scoring type of game. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
My point here is if Jalen Hurts leads a winning drive, and it's 2 seconds left on the 1 yard line, you might as well just say you lost the game because you're not stopping.
Is going to be unless somehow Buffalo just really somehow has an answer to it that no other team has. That'd be cool, but I don't see it happening.
No.
I'm going to still say Eagles here. I hate to say it.
Exactly. Ravens and Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Ravens favored by 3.5.
I hate to say it, the Ravens. They've been a hell of a team.
Yep, Ravens.
Yep. And currently the number 1 seed in the AFC, by the way, right now too.
Yes. Oh, yeah, exactly. So Bears and Vikings are the next matchup. So I believe it was the Vikings favored by 3.5, right?
Yeah, Vikings are favorite 3.5. I'm gonna go with the Vikings. The Pastronaut, man, I tell you.
Yeah, I gotta go Vikings. They're just the better more well put together team in this. Thursday night football, Seahawks, Cowboys. It's on Prime Video. No lines just yet. So what are we thinking?
No, I might just go Cowboys at home. I just think that they have a better home record. They're nothing at the Seahawks. I think that they can make it manageable. They can definitely make it very competitive. But I might say Cowboys at home.
I'm agreeing with the Cowboys at home. And with that, let's get to our Tinkle on this, and it is Deion Sanders this week. Deion Sanders goes on a little interview on Pardon My Take, I believe. And of course,
probably
Deion Sanders talking about Mount Rushmore. He's like, what's that mountain with the 4 heads on it? Oh, it's Mount Rushmore. Yeah, I just know it's out in California. Bro, did you pass geography? You're in Colorado. Where do you think you are right now? Do you think you're in, he probably thinks instead of Colorado, he's in Alaska. Is what I'm going to bet right now. So, Deion Sanders, get your geography right, man. Tinkle on this.
I was going to say, you actually have the wrong state. It's actually in South Dakota, not North Dakota.
And I got it wrong, too. So, tinkle on this for me as well. So, with that, Jason, what's coming up on No Final Bell?
Oh yeah, we recap full gear. We have a couple title changes. We have a big signing, by the way. So definitely catch No Final Bell for that one. I don't want to spoil it too much, but definitely watch it. I think you'll be, great to see what we talk about and the big signing and everything like that.
All right, we look forward to it. With that, thanks for watching, guys. Man, end of No Shave November, of course. Just want to put that little plug out there. This is the final week. Thursday's the final day. We do not have a team this year, but donate to noshave.org. That'll, of course, go toward cancer research and, all that. So, explained it last episode. Just want to put that plug in. Again, it's noshave.org. We're going to, at least I'll be putting in a donation very soon myself. Great cause. So, next time you might see Jason without the beard for all we know. But
that would be nice.
Who knows what he'll do. But I'm going to keep it. I like it. It's been a while, so I think I'm going to keep it, but we'll see, of course. I want to thank you for watching. Tune in next week. Till then, goodbye, everyone.